Good morning, students of 11th Commerce. Welcome to Kondasa's virtual class on microeconomics. And today, our topic of discussion will be different characteristic of IC or indifference curve and the meaning and definition of indifference map. So, previously we have discussed the assumptions on which the theory of cardinal utility analysis or Hicks-Allen module of consumer equilibrium is based on. That is the assumptions. So today we will discuss different characteristic of an indifference curve, and you know the shape of the indifference curve we have already discussed, that it is convex to the point of origin. That means the value is protruding towards the point of origin, not away from the point of origin. That is convexity. And also we have discussed the reason behind the convexity of indifference curve, that is diminishing rate of marginal rate of substitution. Diminishing marginal rate of substitution. And today in the characteristic we have got the same point, and we will discuss a little bit more about why marginal rate of substitution diminishes as we go on substituting more and more of y to gain one more unit of x. So before discussing the characteristic, let us understand what indifference map is. What is indifference map and how it is related to consumer equilibrium theory, that is cardinal utility theory. So you know indifference curve is nothing but the locus of different points which represents different combination of two goods x and y, and more importantly which all the combinations that falls on a particular indifference curve are nothing but different combination of x and y, and all the combinations are giving equal amount of satisfaction to our consumer. Our consumer from point A, point B, point C, if point A, B and C lies on the same indifference curve, that means those 3 points represents different combination of x and y. In some combination you will find more x and less y, or in some more other combination you will find more y and less x. However, whatever may be the number of x and the number of y our consumer is consuming, in totality he is getting the equal amount of satisfaction. Or in other words, we can say that our consumer is remaining indifferent between or among all the points that represents a different combination in a particular IC. But what happens? And also we have already assumed that while consuming x and y, our consumer is spending all his available income on the purchase of x and y. That means our consumer is not left with any more money to purchase either more of x or more of y. But sometimes what happens? The income of the consumer rises or falls. One case. And in other case, the prices of x and y might rise or fall. And in both the cases, what we will find that the indifference curve will shift downwards to the left or shifts rightward to the upward to the right. Once again I am repeating my statement that we have already assumed that prices of x and y are fixed and the income of our consumer is fixed. But suppose the prices reduces or falls. If the prices of x and y reduces, what will happen? With the same available amount of income, our consumer will be able to purchase more of both the goods. And if the prices rises with the same available income, our consumer will be purchasing less amount of both x and y. And in second case, if prices of x and y remaining constant, if the availability of income or disposable income, what he can spend, what our consumer can spend on the purchase of x and y, if the income increases, what will happen? The purchasing power of our consumer will rise, and with that increased income, he will be able to purchase more of both X and Y, even if there is no change in the prices of X and Y. But to make our discussion simpler, however, in reality, in actual life, neither the income of the consumer is fixed, nor the prices of X and Y are fixed. But to make our theory stable, to give stability to our module or theory of consumer equilibrium, in the very beginning we have already assumed that the prices remaining same and the income of the consumer is not changeable. Will suppose either price change or income changes, then there would be different possible indifference curves for our consumer, which will give the consumer different level of satisfaction. Suppose point A, B, C falls on IC1, then ABC would give equal amount of satisfaction to our consumer. But consider another combination that represents D, and D lies on indifference curve 2. Then of course you can see from the diagram that indifference curve 2 is lying rightward or above indifference curve 1. That means the satisfaction, the level of satisfaction our consumer will derive from point D, which lies on indifference curve, would obviously be more than any of the points A, B, C that lies on an indifference curve that is lying below our indifference curve 2. That means any point on IC1 will give less satisfaction than any point on IC2, and any point of IC2 will give less satisfaction than any point on IC3, and so on. That means higher is the indifference curve, higher is the level of satisfaction, lower is the indifference curve, lower will be the level of satisfaction. So a higher indifference curve always gives more satisfaction to our consumer than any curve that lies below it. So given or assuming that our consumer's income is changeable, assuming that the prices of X and Y are changeable, our consumer is left with an array of indifference curves. So all the possible indifference curves for a single consumer is called an indifference map. So in one indifference map there are many indifference curves that our consumer might be on any point on any of the indifference curves, and the set of all the indifference curves is called indifference map. So this is the theory of indifference map. Now come and we will discuss one by one the different properties of indifference curve. The first one, it slopes downward from left to right. So when does a curve slopes downward? What does it mean? When a curve slopes downward from left to right, the inclination is called negative inclination. Means there is a relationship which is negative. X and Y are negatively related to each other. So what is negative relation? Negative relations means given the income and price of X and Y and income of our consumer is fixed, if our consumer is trying to increase the consumption of X, then he has to forgo or he has to sacrifice some unit of Y. That's why the X and Y, both the goods are negatively related to each other. Higher is the amount of X the consumer is willing to purchase, lower will be the amount of Y the consumer can purchase with his limited income and price of X and Y being fixed. That's why the first point says slopes downward, indifference curves slope downward from left to right. Then second point is convex to the point of origin. We have already discussed a lot about the convexity of indifference curve. You can see in this diagram that why it is convex. It is convex because marginal rate of substitution is falling. You can see here, for 1 unit more of X, in the first case the consumer is willing to sacrifice this much of Y. And in the second case, again for 1 more unit of X, the consumer is willing to sacrifice less than the first time he had sacrificed. Less than. This is more than this, and this is more than this, this is more than this, and this is more than this. What does it mean? It means that H the stock, H the amount of X in the hand of our consumer is going on increasing and increasing. The MU is deriving from X is falling, and the MU is deriving from the remaining Y is rising. That is the reason why the consumer is willing to sacrifice lesser and lesser Y for one more unit of X, and that exactly is the reason behind the convexity of the indifference curve. Indifference curves are convex to the point of origin. Why? Because MRS, that is marginal rate of substitution, goes on falling. The third point, that is higher IC gives higher satisfaction. We have already discussed here in indifference map that IC2 lies at a higher point than IC1, IC3 lies higher to IC2, and IC4 lies higher to IC3. You can see when the consumer is on IC1, he is consuming this much of X and this much of Y. When he is shifting to IC2, the amount of X increased and the amount of Y remaining same. That means the consumer is now able to purchase same amount of Y but more amount of X. Obviously, more is the unit of consumption, more will be the level of satisfaction the consumer will derive from his consumption. That's why a higher indifference curve always gives higher level of satisfaction to our consumer. Point 4. 2 IC never intersects. This is something technical. You need to clearly understand the point. Here this, you can see in this diagram that IC1 and IC2 are intersecting with each other at point A. So technically what happens? Let us see the diagram and try to understand that. We know very well that all the points that are nothing but combination of X and Y gives equal level of or equal amount of satisfaction to our consumer. Hence, in that case, point A and point C lies on IC1. So, point A, the amount of satisfaction the consumer will derive from point A will be just exactly equal to the amount of satisfaction the consumer will derive from point C, because both lies on IC1. And at the same time, you can see here point A and B lies on IC2. That means what satisfaction the consumer will get from point A will be equal to the satisfaction he will get from point B. So in this case, the A, B and C, all 3 points which are different combination of X and Y will give our consumer equal amount of satisfaction. But logically, there is no logic behind the statement, because you can see here IC2 lies above IC1. That means obviously the consumer, what satisfaction he will derive from point C will be less than the satisfaction the consumer will derive from point B. So in that case, point B or IC2 will give higher satisfaction than IC1. So how it is possible that A equal to B and A equal to C? But in that case, B must be equal to C. But what we find here is B is greater than C. That's why, that is the reason 2 indifference curves can never intersect with each other. And the last point is slope of IC or MRS goes on falling. I have already explained just now that why the slope of IC, that is nothing but del Y by del X, a change in Y upon a change in X. Why it falls? Because as the stock of Y decreases or falls, the marginal utility of Y goes on rising, and as the stock of X increases at the hand of our consumer, its marginal utility goes on falling. And that exactly is the reason why in a later and later stage, the consumer will be willing to sacrifice lesser and lesser amount of Y in exchange of one more unit of X. And that's why we can say slope of IC or marginal rate of substitution or del Y upon del X goes on falling. So all these are different characteristics of indifference curve along with the meaning of indifference map. So tomorrow we will discuss exactly the mechanism that it determines according to ordinal utility analysis or Hicks-Allen analysis how the consumer will attain equilibrium with the help of a diagram, schedule and explanation. But today it is enough. So if you are getting any doubt, consult me and please maintain with the notes. Thank you. Have a nice day.